I was wondering, what's the one thing you hope that your audience goes away with about Harriet Tubman?
I think her determination and her force of will, because I think it's a great message for our time just to kind of realize what this one person was able to accomplish. You know, force of will got the movie made, and force of will can get us through so much, and we really need to be reminded of what we're able to do, because life can be so overwhelming, and the problems right now are so big. And so Harriet, my favorite Harriet quote, she says, "I prayed to God to make me strong enough to fight," and that's what I pray for every day. I think we have a lot to fight for right now. You know, we've got to fight for our respective countries. We have to fight for the planet, you know, and I think that there's a lot that we have to fight for. We have to fight for the future and for our children's future, and so that's what I want people to be reminded of.
Beautiful message. What, if anything, during your research process with this film did you discover about her that you wish had made it into the film? That
I wish it made? Oh God, there's so much. I mean, we're actually telling just a narrow portion of her life intentionally. You know, just dealing with the decade before the Civil War is when most of it takes place. The Civil War was a whole movie on its own. You know, I could absolutely make another movie about Harriet during the Civil War when she was a spy. I mean, that's wonderful. And there's so many chapters of her life that are interesting, and so many things that were interesting.
What was it in particular that led you to focus on this particular chapter in her life?
Because it's a time when there was the most movement. You know what I mean? There was adventure inherent in this part of her life. So it seemed appropriate to do it as an adventure story. It didn't seem like we had to impose that on it. That it lent itself to this adventure story, and we thought to do a movie about young Harriet Tubman as kind of almost like an action hero, you know, that felt appropriate.
You've had such an incredible career, and I was wondering if you could speak to the ways in which you feel as a female filmmaker the industry is changing for you and how that's kind of manifesting in your career.
Yeah, well, the way that I look at it, and this is I could speak to my own career, but let me talk about my students, because I'm an educator. So the way I see it changing is through my students, you know. So I feel like I've helped to raise a new generation of filmmakers, and they're working, and so that's really exciting for me. When I started out, it was like, you know, I was a unicorn, and there were a couple of more unicorns, you know, we knew each other. Now it's not like that at all. We're working towards beginning to work towards representation that feels somewhat realistic, you know.
And what's one piece of advice you give to your students or to other filmmakers coming up?
To enjoy the journey, enjoy the process of being an artist, because I think it's a mistake to try and get there, like there's a destination, you know what I mean? Make it, you know, like, what does that mean? You have to enjoy, it can be a very painful process, and if you're gonna be an artist, you need to live that life and enjoy living that life and being an artist every day. So that's my advice.
That's good advice. And one final question, what was it like working with Janelle Monae and Cynthia Ervio?
Well, I mean, come on, they're amazing. It was amazing. I mean, Cynthia and I had a very, very deep relationship because she's in almost every scene. Whenever any director is working with an actor that has that big a role in the film, it's a very intense relationship. And so that was an amazing experience. And Janelle's great. I was so grateful to her that she did the film, and that relationship and the friendship between those women was very, very important to me. And I love those scenes of the two of them together. I really, really love those scenes.
And they work beautifully. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It was an amazing film.
Thank you.